Welcome, Talmidim, to lesson number 2 on the review of the Seder, especially the way the Rebbe himself would do his own Seder on Pesach. So yesterday we talked about the 15 steps of the Seder, so we know what we have to do on the night of the Seder. The question is, do we have all the supplies that we need to make the Seder? So let's take a look at the basic supplies that we'll need if we want to have a successful Seder, and then we'll talk about each one of them, how the Rebbe would do it at his own Seder. So, what do we need for a Seder? I'm going to boil it down to 6 things. First, we'll need wine for the Arba Kaisis. Then, we'll need a kais, an actual cup, which we can use to drink the 4 kaisis from. The main thing we'll need is a Haggadah, the instruction manual, which will guide us throughout the night, telling us exactly what to do. Then, we'll have to have the matzah tash, the matzah case. That's the case that holds the 3 matzahs. I don't have any real matzahs yet, so I'm using plates. One goes in the top, a second one will go in the middle, and a third one will go on the bottom. On top of the matzah case is where we'll set up the kaira with the 6 things that we need throughout the Seder. Those are called the Simanei HaSeder. We're going to talk about those in detail later on. Of course, there's one more thing that's really important during the Seder, and that is to lean when we eat the matzah and the kairech and when we drink the 4 kaisis. The Rebbe had a special chair next to him, a second chair on which he would lean. And we're going to talk about that and the way the Rebbe leaned later on by Kaddish. Of course, not everybody always has room at their own Seder table for everybody to have 2 chairs, because some people have family and guests. But we're talking about how the Rebbe did it, and if you can, ask your father if maybe this year he'll give you a second chair for you to lean on. The wine that the Rebbe used by his Seder was not like this Rashi bottle, it was special. It was actually homemade, and it was not mavushal. It wasn't cooked like most wine is. And when wine is not cooked, it can't be seen or touched by a goy. And because of that, the Rebbe would make sure to always keep his wine covered during the Seder. Sometimes the Rebbe covered his wine by putting it in a paper bag, not a red one. Most Hasidim remember it being brown. And the Rebbe would hold the wine just like this and pour it into his cup during the Seder. Other years, some Hasidim remember the Rebbe putting his wine into a manila envelope, just like that. And the Rebbe would hold the wine by the envelope and pour it into his cup during the Seder. From after the Rebbe's 60th birthday, the kais that he would use by the Seder was actually made of gold, given to him by one of his Hasidim for his 60th birthday. Here's a picture of it. Recently, the librarian of the Rebbe released this picture to the public. The Rebbe would actually come to the Seder with 2 Haggadahs in his hand. One of them was the Haggadah that he himself wrote, the Haggadah the Rebbe made before he became Rebbe. And the other one was a Haggadah al pi Kabbalah. That means it was written by the Arizal student, Reb Shabsai Ashkever, who recorded all of his teachers' Kabbalistic teachings on the Haggadah. And although many of us might be used to seeing one of these at our Seder tables where we keep our matzahs inside them, the Rebbe did not use this kind of case for his matzahs. Instead, the Rebbe would use a big white napkin, which he would fold once and then twice, just like this. When you fold a napkin like that, you create 3 spaces, one for the top matzah, a second for the middle matzah, and a third for the bottom matzah. In addition to that, under the Rebbe's matzah case, he would have an actual silver platter. The word kaira means a plate or a platter. And so under his matzah case, the Rebbe actually had a silver kaira. This is a golden paper plate. I just put it here so you could see it. But in fact, we have a picture of the Rebbe's own silver kaira. And I'm going to put it up now on the screen. That's the Rebbe's kaira on the left. On the right is actually the kaira the Friedlicher Rebbe used when he was alive for his Seder. It's kind of funny. They both look like the trays some of our mothers used to light their Shabbos licht. This was also released to us recently by the Rebbe's librarian, Rebbe Shalom Ber Levin. You can see that it's not round, like the plate that I showed you before. It's actually an octagon. It has 8 sides. And there's a story about that. The Rebbe specifically asked for that type of kaira. The first Pesach after he became Rebbe, he asked Rabbi J.J. Hecht to go buy him a kaira with 8 sides. The Rebbe liked to keep the matzahs right near the edge of the matzah case. And on top of that, he would set up the kaira. He would set up the 6 things that go on the Seder plate. But the Rebbe didn't put the Simonei HaSeder, the 6 things on the kaira, directly onto his matzah case. Instead, he would first lay out some napkins. These napkins were from a very specific company called Vanity Fair. In fact, my Zayde, Rabbi Avram Lipsker, was zeichen many years to buy these napkins for the Rebbe to use. Before we end this lesson, I want to say one more thing. Here is a picture of a Haggadah. And you can see that there are words that we say, and then there are small letters written by the Alter Rebbe where he gives the instructions for what to do during the Seder. And I want to tell you something about that. Or you know what? I have an even better idea. Let me ask one of the Hasidim who was actually by the Rebbe's Seder to tell you about this one.
כאשר הרבי היה נכנס, לפני שהוא התחיל בסידור הקערה, עוד לפני המצות גם, הוא אמר את מה שכתוב בהגדה. זאת אומרת, ההוראות, איך צריכים לסדר, אז יש בסידור של אדמו"ר הזקן, בעצם ההגדה, זה נלקח מסידורו של אדמו"ר הזקן. את כל מה שנאמר, אז הרבי קודם כל היה קורא את זה, ואחרי זה היה מקיים הלכה למעשה, איך שנאמר בסידור.
On the Seder night, the Rebbe was extremely careful to do everything in the right order. And that's why he made sure to read from the Seder the instructions so that everything would be exact. See you tomorrow.